In the heart of Thetford, Norfolk, on the old Norwich to London road, now known as White Hart Street, stands the ancient house. It has quietly watched the world change for over 5 centuries. Built by unknown wealthy Tudor merchant, as a comfortable home and shop, around the year of 1490, which was the time of King Edward IV's reign, its walls are woven from timber oak and wattle and daub. But this is no ordinary time capsule. Saved from ruin by an exiled Punjabi prince, and standing just steps from the birthplace of a global revolutionary, this structure holds the key to a surprisingly global history. The hall was the main room of the house, and used for dining and entertaining. The room has beautiful carved ceiling timbers with carved brackets and a decorated fireplace. Joints and builders' marks on the beams are clues to how the house was built. A model of the house shows how it looked when first constructed. The room is displayed as it might have looked around 1595. The red and yellow wall hanging reflects typical Tudor style. A table is laid out for a feast of roast meats, fish, pie and Norfolk biffing apples. The portraits on the walls date from the 16th and 17th centuries. They include a portrait of Queen Elizabeth I, who visited Thetford in 1578. A mysterious piece of carved arch set into the wall near the painting was once the entrance to the original staircase. The floor of the main room was relaid with bricks from elsewhere in the house during restoration during the 1920s. Mrs. Newton's kitchen reflects life in the ancient house at the time of the 1901 population census. Thomas Newton, a rabbit warrener, lived here with his brother, wife, 3 children, and 4 lodgers. The kitchen, the busy heart of the household, has a coal-fired range for cooking, a copper with a wooden lid for heating water, and a mangle for wringing out the washing. On the table, a rabbit pie is being prepared. Upstairs you'll find 2 rooms that were originally used as living and sleeping apartments. The smaller room traces Thetford's rich history through displays ranging from prehistory, Boudicca and the Vikings, and the 1960s. Replicas of the Roman hall known as the Thetford treasure are displayed here, including silver spoons and gold jewelry. 1,000 years ago, in Anglo-Saxon times, Thetford was one of the biggest towns in the country, and a major manufacturing center. Pottery, metalwork and coins made in Thetford during this period are on display. The second room focuses on the lives of 4 of the ancient householders who once owned or lived in the building. An innkeeper, a museum caretaker, a plumber, and a watchmaker. The small room opposite the hall, known today as the collector's room, was originally divided in 2, with the end facing the street serving as a small shop. On the left-hand side of the wall, it is still possible to see where the shop doorway would have been. The back of the room may have been a workshop. The slanting window is original and would have looked out onto the garden. By the door into the collector's room, on the right-hand side of the door frame, there is a V sign, known as a Viva mark. This was often scratched onto walls and doors to ward off evil spirits. The candle burn marks on the outside of the doorframe were probably made to protect the house from fire. The room is full of treasures from the museum collections, with more on show in the pull-out drawers. Maharaja Duleep Singh, 1838 to 1893, was the last Sikh ruler of the Kingdom of the Punjab, northern India. Wars with the British in the 1840s ended with the young Duleep Singh surrendering his lands and possessions, including the Koh-i-Noor diamond. He came to Britain, and was befriended by Queen Victoria, who took a keen interest in the young prince. He settled into family life at Elvedon Hall, near Thetford, which was remodeled inside to be like a glittering Indian palace. In time, however, unhappiness over his treatment by the British led him to rebel against the authorities. His plans to regain his kingdom, with Russian help, led to nothing, and he died a broken man, in Paris. His family arranged for his body to be brought back for burial at Elvedon. Duleep Singh's second son, Prince Frederick, was the founder of the Ancient House Museum. He lived at Low Norton Hall, near Thetford, and took a keen interest in local history, amassing a fine collection of books, paintings, prints and archives. Today, these are kept at the Ancient House, Thetford Library, and the Norfolk Record Office. The Ancient House has a fine gift and souvenir shop, and a small garden at the rear of the building to enjoy. Thomas Paine, 1737 to 1809, was one of the greatest political figures of his day. He was born in a building only 100 meters from the Ancient House. Influenced by his humble origins in a corrupt and violent world, he went on to write earth-shattering pamphlets and books such as Common Sense, Age of Reason, and Rights of Man. Paine stirred up the spirit of independence in America. He defended the ideals of the French Revolution and shaped democracy and human rights in Britain. The British authorities, worried that revolution would spread from France to Britain, organized a backlash against him. Effigies of Thomas Paine were publicly burned up and down the country, including at nearby Swaffham. Paine died in America in 1809. The mask was made by his friend, the artist, John Wesley Jarvis. Thetford honors Thomas Paine with this golden statue just a short walk, round the corner, from the Ancient House Museum. Grimes Graves is located approximately 7 miles northwest of Thetford, Norfolk. It is the site of the first Neolithic flint mines to be recognized as such in England. The shallow depressions, and there is over 400 in all, that create such a mysterious, lunar-like landscape, represent the infilled shafts and pits of these mines, which were dug about 5,000 years ago. Here, Prehistoric miners dug deep beneath the ground to extract the fine quality, jet black flint, from which they fashioned tools, weapons and ceremonial objects. Visitors today can descend into one of the shafts and see the radiating galleries in which the miners worked. Grimes Graves Flint Mines lies on a low chalk ridge set among the rolling heaths of Norfolk's Breckland. Between about 2650 and 2150 BC, at a time when many of the stone settings at Stonehenge were being constructed, late Neolithic people dug more than 400 mines and pits here, using the most basic tools, to reach the distinctive black flint valued in later prehistory for its quality. There was a second phase of mining during the early to Middle Bronze Age transition between about 1550 and 1500 BC. After the mines were abandoned, a Middle Bronze Age settlement developed nearby between 1400 and 1300 BC, which left behind huge rubbish dumps in the hollows of the old mines. Later, during the Iron Age, between 390 and 150 BC, local communities buried some of the dead in the hollows. The Anglo-Saxons thought this evocative landscape was the work of the pagan god, Grim, or Woden, and gave the site its name. By the Middle Ages, Grimes graves may have been used for rabbit farming. These flint mines remained a puzzle to many antiquarians until during 1868 to 1870, Canon William Greenwell excavated a shaft here, and he was able to prove that Grimes Graves was a Neolithic flint mine, the first to be recognized as such in Britain. During the 20th century, many other excavations took place here. Now in the care of English Heritage, Grimes Graves is one of only 10 known prehistoric flint mines in England, and the only one in Britain where visitors can enter the underground galleries in which Neolithic miners once worked. Pit 15 lies 30 meters northwest of the visitors' center and is covered by a concrete cap. The shaft was excavated between 1937 and 1939 by Leslie Armstrong, who found the topstone flint at a depth of 2 meters, the wallstone at 4.5 meters and the floorstone at 6 meters. 9 galleries radiated from the base of the shaft. The excavation proved controversial, particularly because of the discovery of a chalk goddess at the base of the shaft, as part of a ritual group of artifacts comprising a well-crafted chalk cup and phallus, and 3 flint nodules, 2 spherical and 1 torpedo-shaped. The goddess crudely echoes something of the style of Paleolithic carvings, and could be seen belatedly to support the notion that flint mining here dated from Paleolithic times, much earlier than the Neolithic period, a view that few people held by the 1930s. The weight of evidence clearly argued for a Neolithic date. The authenticity of the goddess figurine has also been questioned. Now ranged against the Paleolithic theory is the fact that all the radiocarbon-dated antler picks from Pit 15 have returned Neolithic or early Bronze Age dates, and nothing as early as the Paleolithic period has been found. Pit 1 is the only flint mine open to visitors in the UK. Access is via a 9-meter-long ladder, which is located in the small round building near the visitors' centre. It was excavated back in 1914 by A.E. Peake on behalf of the Prehistoric Society of East Anglia. Digging down through the shaft fills He found 3 layers of flint, the top stone at 3 meters, the wall stone at 7 meters, and the floor stone at 9 meters. The top of this shaft was surrounded by waste dump, and the shaft itself was almost 10 meters wide at its mouth, narrowing to 3.6 meters at the bottom. 5 hearthstones were found, at intervals between the floor and 3 meters below the ground surface, suggesting that the shaft had been backfilled in stages, and that the miners lit fires periodically during the process. At the base, 6 horizontal galleries radiate outwards to follow the jet-black floorstone flint. Some of these are more than 15 meters long and link at least 5 adjacent shafts. The excavations led to many discoveries, like rope marks, which were found above the entrance to Gallery 2. Numerous antler picks were scattered about, including 3, arranged in a straight line in Gallery 1. Part of a red deer skull and other bones were discovered in Gallery 11, and 3 different species of bat were recorded. The bats are significant because they prove that some mines remained open and were quiet enough during the winter for the bats to roost there. This demonstrates both that the mines were not worked during this winter roosting period, and that they were not immediately backfilled at the end of each season. Fragments of grooved ware pottery were recovered alongside flint implements, and carved chalk cups and balls. Many of these artifacts are not mining tools, which again suggests that flint mining was accompanied by ritualized activities, possibly ceremonies to ensure the renewal of flint or safety of the miners. Recent excavations within Pit 1, during 2022 to 2023, uncovered a preserved Neolithic ground surface at the top of the mine shaft. Over 4,000 years ago, a miner sat and started to test the flint being brought up from the shaft below, knapping a flint tool that was found here. A chalk plaque decorated with close set lines, incised by an antler pick, or flint tool, was also found. There are traces of temporary Neolithic settlements scattered throughout Breckland and the Fens, with favored sites being mostly close to rivers and particularly on south-facing slopes, and in elevated locations. Scatters of late Neolithic flint tools are common in the area. Some have been discovered in pits containing grooved ware, which was the style of pottery used at Grimes graves, with examples from Thetford, Harling and Weststow. The southeastern edge of the Fens lies about 7 miles west of Grimes Graves, and can be reached along the Little Ouse Valley, 1 mile south of the site, or along the valley of the River Wissey, 2.5 miles to the north. Here, major clusters of late Neolithic and early Bronze Age sites have been recorded. Some of these produced grooved ware pottery, but many more were associated with beaker pottery, which spans the late Neolithic and early Bronze Ages between 2500 and 1800 BC. The proximity of these Breckland and Fen Edge sites to Grimes graves means that miners may not have traveled too far to dig flint there. Studies of the flint from the surrounding settlements have revealed that only a minority matches that from Grimes graves, which suggests that most of the mined flint left the area. As with the Cornish greenstone axe found in the Greenwells pit at Grimes Graves, and the often extensive distribution of stone axes from upland quarries, such as those at Langdale in Cumbria, it seems that Grimes Graves flint also had a great cultural value, and was exchanged, or traded over long distances far away from its source. Standing, as I was earlier, amidst the sprawling grassy craters, it was easy to see a quiet haunting silence. But here in the depths of the East Anglian earth, we are surrounded by this monument to human ingenuity that predates the pyramids. This is not just a network of ancient holes in the Norfolk earth, it is a testament to the dawn of industry. Our ancestors were not merely surviving on this landscape, they actively shaped it, developing and changing not only the way we live, but also changing who we are today.